Welcome to This Week in Hockey. We're about a third of the way through the season, and I'd like to take some time to talk a little bit about each team. I'm going to work my way up through the standings from the bottom to the top. Let's go, boys! Arizona is a dumpster fire. Buffalo is a slightly smaller dumpster fire. Florida was good 2 years ago because of a strong appreciation of advanced stats. But the old boys, confounded and upset by the computer boys, got mad and tore that shit down, and now Florida's bad again. Ottawa's owner just went on a rant whose underlying point was, this team is a real fixer-upper. Who wants to buy it? Those cries you hear are all of Edmonton mourning this lost season. Those visions of the Stanley Cup fading into, yep, you guessed it, a dumpster fire. After spending 24 straight years going to the playoffs, Detroit was due for a fall, and their GM absolutely did not prepare for it, so now they're terrible. But they have a new arena, so they got that going for them. This season, Montreal has either been on fire or been in the fire that is in the dumpster that is full of shit. Colorado is just a dumpster now since they traded Duchesne and got a good return for him. Vancouver was good for a hot minute, but now they've regressed to their proper position as a non-playoff team. Calgary has almost all the pieces to be dominant except the most crucial, consistent goaltending. I like their chances to make the playoffs, but one bad run might torpedo their dreams. Carolina is the perennial they should be better than they are team, and one wonders how long this can keep going before we just accept that they're actually not good. Philly is scraping the char off their dumpster by following a 10-game losing streak with a 6-game winning one. Boston should have been bad this year, but they're holding down a potential playoff spot, because their division is shit. The Ducks' injuries have really hamstrung their season, and any more bad news might just end it. Pittsburgh won the Cup the past 2 years, but they're not playing like it this season. A losing streak will put them in the danger zone, but they're also a team that no one can count out quite yet. Minnesota is like Carolina, except they can get into the playoffs. Who cares about Chicago? Dallas has a potent offense and an improved defense, and while they're 6th in their division, they're only 4 points out of 3rd and heating up. San Jose made it to the Stanley Cup Finals 2 years ago, and that will be their greatest hurrah this decade. The Islanders are that middle-of-the-pack team that have as many flashes of brilliance as they do ineptitude. So, 35-year-old goaltender Henrik Lundqvist is very much showing his age, and once his game-breaking talent drops, so will the Rangers' position in the standings. Toronto paid their dues, and now through good roster and managerial moves, they are poised to be a force in the league. This only serves to make their fans more insufferable. Ever since the Jets moved back to Winnipeg, they've underperformed, but now it looks like they're finally showing the league how good they actually are. The Blue Jackets are quietly having a better season than last, but they're still the Blue Jackets, so no one outside of Columbus cares. New Jersey is playing better than anyone expected, and the bottom hasn't quite dropped out yet, so same as New Jersey. No one expects Washington to miss the playoffs, but no one expects Washington to get past the second round either. LA recently had an impressive win streak, and while their underlying numbers aren't as good as they have been in the past, they very well could win the Pacific Division. St. Louis is like Minnesota and Carolina, except they can get past the second round of the playoffs. Nashville went to the Stanley Cup Final last year, and they look every bit like a team that can repeat that feat. Tampa is the best team in the league by a wide margin. They have scored 42 more goals than have been scored against them. The next best differential in the whole league is plus 23. They good. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Those are my 31 takes, all piping hot like the fires in the dumpsters.